In this video, I'm going to be demonstrating how to add consent forms and disclosures to your students' records. Consent forms include caregiver consent for services and student consent, minor consent, or assent to services. Disclosures would be completed when a request for information come in, AKA an ROI, or there was a request to release information from the student's record. To complete the consent or release of information, which I will refer to as an ROI, you will first need to find the student's record. To find the student's record, click Student Search in the top right-hand side of the screen. Type in the student's name and click Enter. Once you find your student, you'll want to click the orange pencil button next to their name. Clicking the orange pencil button will take you into the student's profile. You'll know you're in the student's profile because in the top left-hand side of the screen, you'll find the student's personal information. To add your consent or release of information, you'll want to hover over the left-hand side of the screen in order to expand the record navigator. Under the record navigator options, you'll want to click Consents and Disclosures. Doing so will lead you to the consent and disclosures options. For a new consent form, you'll want to click New Consent on the right-hand side. To complete a disclosure form, you'll want to click New Disclosure. For this example, I will add a new consent form. To do so, click New Consent. But before doing so, be sure to click the consent type. In this case, it's a caregiver consent, as I would like to request permission for the student to attend an ongoing individual therapy and group therapy at the school site. I've chosen the consent type, and now I will click New Consent. Doing so will take me to the consent page, where there are consent, disclosures, and details. On the consent, disclosure, and details page, please be sure to fill in the relevant information. The effective date will automatically default to the current date. The expiration date you may choose. Consent forms must be renewed annually. In the case of that you already have a consent form signed, and a parent or caregiver revokes their consent, click Cancel. And enter the date that the consent was revoked. You'll also want to enter the reason for the revocation. In this case, this is a new consent form. So we just want to pick the effective date. Notice that there are some custom fields here. On the consent form, there is a question that asks the caregiver if they are okay with the student's data being shared for the purposes of research and reporting. If yes, there's nothing you need to do. If they do not want the student's information shared, please click the checkbox. The consent form also asks for the student's insurance group number, insurance provider, and medical record number. Please be sure to update these fields before adding the consent form. Once these fields are completed, you'll want to click the Attachment tab on the right. To upload the signed consent form, you'll want to first choose the file type. After choosing the file type, a window for your computer will appear with documents and records. Choose the relevant record by clicking on it and clicking Open. Once you click Open, the file will attach. Be sure to click Upload in the top left. Welligent will then upload the form into the system. Once the form is uploaded, be sure to click Save on the right-hand side of the screen. After clicking Save, You'll be returned to the consent disclosures and details. And you are done. Remember that the same process for consents also applies for disclosures. The only difference is that instead of clicking consent or minor consent as your consent type, you'll want to click release of information or request for information. After choosing release or request for information, this time in the top right, you'll want to click new disclosure. Complete all of the relevant fields. Once completing the relevant fields, make sure that at the top right, you click attachments. After clicking attachments, follow the same procedures. Choose file, choose the file you want to upload, click upload, and after uploading, be sure to click save.